On this episode of the John 1911 podcast, SIG wins the DMR contract. Will John McCain go down as the next Dr. Mudd? A gun-safe conspiracy theory. And Lando Calrissian is now gay.
Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Marky Freeze, and this is episode 96 of the John 1911 podcast. How was your night, Freeze?
It was good.
So, I'm glad to hear that. I just got lectured by Freeze because we were discussing SIG and Blaser, and I just casually said that Blaser owns SIG, and you took umbrage. And so, what did I get incorrect?
Blaser doesn't own SIG. SIG is owned by L&O Holdings, which also owns Mauser, Blaser, and a bunch of other firearms manufacturers.
Okay. My understanding was that I guess the first thing they had bought was Blaser, and I think they even got, what did they tell me? I remember talking to the guys from that company, and they had told me that they really didn't think of SIG at the time as being like a real valuable asset. It just kind of came with the acquisition. And then even further down the chain, I remember they told me that they kind of thought the whole SIG USA thing was like, whatever. But subsequently what happened was they were surprised that SIG USA had became SIG USA. I don't know which came first, the sales and then SIG USA, or SIG USA and the sales. But basically SIG USA is a major driving force now within that company, because I think they make a majority of their money from SIG USA, not even from, say, Blaser and Mauser and Sauer.
Well, they don't make any money from Blaser. I mean, they do, but I mean, when you compare SIG sales to Blaser sales, I mean, even take Mauser. I mean, compare Mauser sales in the U.S. Opposed to SIG. SIG's their cash cow in the U.S.
Oh, yeah. Mauser doesn't sell shit in the U.S.
No. Well, neither does. I mean, exactly,
I'd be curious if Mauser, I wonder who sells more guns in the U.S. Blaser USA or it's Blaser or Mauser. I'm curious. I would think Blaser sells more than Mauser here.
That's an interesting question.
They come out with that cheap Mauser just this year.
They did come out with an inexpensive Mauser, but the truth is, I don't really know how many people are buying them here in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. And a couple years ago, they had come out with an inexpensive Sauer. Remember the Sauer 100?
Yeah.
Because what it is they know they're trying to get some market penetration because in the United States in particular, I mean, any yahoo with a wrench can make a bolt action rifle. And their prices, they just, on the economics, they can't really compete. Yeah. So,
just as an interesting tidbit, along with Blaser, Mauser, and SIG, L&O Holdings also acquired GSG several years ago. But
I either knew that and forgot it, or never knew it. I did not know that.
Yeah, and they own
who
too.
They own who?
Rigby.
What? I do know they own Rigby. I absolutely do know that, because they kind of brought the brand back. Rigby's basically a Mauser. So, I mean, Rigby's more of a brand than a, yeah.
Yeah. Basically, they're just big bore Mausers.
Mm-hmm. And the reason this came up this morning is you and I were discussing, there's a whole group of optics that you can buy for AR rifles, and optics on AR rifles since the first 5 minutes that they've been out. But these these QD low 1 to 4, 1 to 6, 1 to 8 variable power optics, that you can throw on an AR, so you can maybe run them down to true 1.0 as parallax free, which is really difficult to do, and crank them up to 6. And, really the best of breed for a while were the Schmidt and Bender short dots, the 1 to 6, 1 to 8s, and those are, oh my God, they're like $3,000. And, so I never really paid attention to them. Well, SIG, it was just announced by the U.S. Army this week that SIG has won an optics contract with the U.S. Army for their squad designated marksman rifle, SDMR. And the model is this Tango, I hate this name, Tango 6, 1 to 6. Dude, you can tell. Tango 6, dude, you can absolutely tell. That was some bullshit American came up with that name. That is such a mall ninja name.
Yep,
no European dude came up with Tango 6.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I hate that fucking name. But why that's coming up is I did a quick Google search, and the street price, at least published, looks to be about $1,000 for that 1 to 6. And that seems interesting. And I know you're a huge SIG fanboy.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like,
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, but SIG has been doing optics now. They did the red dots a couple years ago. They started doing them, and now they've got some scopes. But here's the thing: a lot of people don't realize, and this is going back to, is it L&O Holdings? You said,
yeah.
I don't know if they own. Is it Optronica or some company in Germany is making most of these optics? And see, even Blaser has come out starting this year. It's another subset of the same holding company. Blaser has a line of rifle scopes. Blaser has a line of binoculars, and they even have a red dot that looks. I mean, the footprint of the red dot looks. I mean, dude, it looks like a SIG. It looks like the Aimpoint Micro. I mean, it's like it's a straight ripoff. Yeah. I mean, I haven't held one and looked through it, but everybody's going into the optics game, and I think there's a lot of meat on the bone. But there's a lot of room to move on these prices.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, red dot optics are. I mean, there's a lot of market there. And God, I'm going to piss off a lot of people saying this.
Oh, I'm going to piss them off too here in a minute.
You do not have to spend a shit ton of money on a red dot. I mean, the technology's there. They're not that. Man, I mean, it's not like they're that technically involved. I mean, it's honestly
Yeti versus Arctic.
Look, we're not talking about a big Schmidt and Bender that you're going to use for shooting out at 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 yards. We're talking about a red dot. There's no reason why an aim point needs to cost $600-700. It's stupid.
Well, I think it's fair to say that as we progress forward, and for all of our hippie listeners, progress forward, that the current optics market and red dot market, I mean, you've seen all the optics I buy. Mm-hmm. I mean, all these European, German, this shit's crazy priced. And, and with the exchange rate. And then, the advancements of red dot technology, there's a real reset coming here. And so let me circle back to the Blaser L&O Holdings SIG conversation. So, SIG, there's Sauer, the company in Europe, and then there's, SIG USA. And which was Sig Sauer Sig. They are a tactical mall ninja military. That's their brand identity. They're not appealing to people that spend a lot of money on guns. Now, some people would like, what about the Sig P210 or some of these high dollar guns they make? Not in the library of L&O Holdings, the SIG brand is not a high dollar brand. So now let's go to another company in that group, that Blaser, and Blaser's now moving in the optics game. Now here's the deal. The Blaser brand, again, I'm not talking the technology. I'm not talking what people think about the guns. I'm talking about the brand and what they sell to customers. They portray themselves as being kind of a cut above. And so they do all this extra shit, and then they upcharge you for it. And the people that buy those guns are, there's a little bit more of the whole like bitchiness, because they're more discriminating customer, because they're spending a lot of money. It's kind of like a Ferrari dealer. Well, here's the thing. If Blaser is confident enough that they can put their name on a scope in a marketplace where they're competing when most of their customers buy Swarovskis and Zeiss, like Blaser is so buddy-buddy with Zeiss and Swarovski that they feel like they can put their name on Optic and run with those big dogs, that's a clue something's changing. Because Blaser will not put out a shit optic that makes them look bad. And I think that's really interesting. And you're going to see that manifest itself as SIG USA really starts running high quality optics. And look at Steiner. We bought those Steiner scopes.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are fantastic.
Yeah.
Dude. I mean, they were half the price of a corresponding Schmidt and Bender. And I'd stack that thing up against a Schmidt and Bender all day.
Yeah, well, again, we're getting back to, is the going market rate for a particular optic worth what they're charging? What's an Aimpoint Micro go for these days? $600?
It could. I mean, here's the thing. Like, they've got them now with different, like, night vision capable, so they work with your night vision. Like, dude, I'll be honest with you. I have one Micro, and it's on the Scar. It's on my work gun. Yeah. And to be honest with you, dude, I got that from work. I don't even know what – I mean, I don't know what that thing cost. I mein, it was like, here's gun. Here's red dot. Put it on 0. Marky has gun now.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it was expensive, but I never shopped it, priced it, compared it. I never made the decision. Decision was made for me.
Yeah. Well,
so I have no idea, but I know when I look at them to like, it's like, hey, maybe we should get another red dot, maybe to throw on some of these guns that we want to, in the reference collection, just so to have it. And I look at the aim points and I'm like, oh, fuck that. I'm not doing that.
Well, look, I'm not shitting on the aim point. I'm not saying it's a bad red dot. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that $600 for an aim point is stupid.
It is. And again, it's kind of like, I've got that one gun. It's a work gun. It's the red dot. The aim point's a work optic. It's hell or high water, whatever. If, I need to justify using it or doing whatever with it, it's fine. But I think the average person, it would be, if you want to have the one, everybody has like their one 1911 or their one whatever. That's fine. But, I don't think an average civilian needs 4 aim points.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. But Primary Arms sells a Micro, and kind of looks like the aim point. Yeah, it's a Micro. They all kind of look the same.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get one for $90. And they sell another one with that's supposed to have like a 50,000 hour battery life on it for like $150, $160. I know this because I won't spend that kind of money on an aim point, and I look at less expensive options. Now, look, if I was going to be beating around Fallujah, would I want a primary arms red dot? Probably not. But the truth is, 99.999% of the people out there pumping a red dot on an AR aren't either. And they don't need an aim point. It's stupid money.
But here's the real punchline. I don't know when this Mendoza line happens on the Venn diagram or the J curve when everybody dies or it all falls apart. But there's coming a day, and it's going to happen sooner rather than later, when your $90 red dot will literally last. You could do whatever you want to do to an aim point, and that $90 red dot will stay with it. That day's coming, and we may not be here yet. But the truth is, there's always a point where we cross that line, but people brand wise refuse to believe it. And I bet you we're closer to that line than people think.
It's the same argument that guys have with AR lowers. The guy who spends $500 on a Spikes Tactical AR lower has to sit there and crap on the $40, $50 Anderson lower because he has to justify spending stupid money on a stupid part that honestly doesn't absorb any pressures. It's the least important part of an AR is the freaking
do the holes line up or not?
Exactly. So if you have to justify spending that kind of money, you have to justify $500 over 50. And it's the same thing with the optics. You have to justify spending $600 on an aim point over $100 on a primary arms or a Bushnell by saying, well, they're garbage and my aim point, it'll hold up longer, blah, 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 below me. Basically, if you spend stupid money, you have to justify it to yourself, and you will argue till your last breath that your shit is better than mine because you have to justify in your heart of hearts why you were stupid and you spent stupid money.
I can do you even better. I can do you even better. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, because it kind of broke up on me. I can do you even better. Check this out. Dude, in your lifetime, you have seen this happen. There was a time when an AR-15 was a Colt and everything else was a copy.
Yep.
And if you ran anything other than a Colt, you were a fucking jackass.
Yeah, it was,
now, because of brand and marketing and advancements in technology, you have to give it all. Colt is no longer the penultimate of the best of breed according to the cool kids. Now it's a safe harbor. I don't know what to do. I don't want to get in whatever. I don't want to get in all. I just want a gun that runs. And there's a Colt over here. Should I just get the Colt? Just get the Colt. And aim point will end up being that with the red dots.
Yeah.
But this day is coming very quickly when this scope market, this optics market is going to seriously reset.
Yeah.
Well, and,
too.
And I'm looking at this Tango 6 SDMR, and it's like, 1 to 6. It's like, my first question is, all right, got the contract. It probably has a reticle that I could use because, I like mill reticles. That's cool.
Yeah.
And the second question I ask myself is, okay, is it truly a 1 power, or is it a 1-1, or is it a, what kind of distortion parallax are you getting? And I'm curious, it's like, okay, it seems like they're claiming maybe it's a true 1. That means you could theoretically use it as a kind of a red dot. And then, it comes with a big throw lever, zip it up to 6. And it's like, this could be an optic. We throw on a bunch of these flat top guns we've got. We can shoot them for groups, do stuff with them, and you yank it off. And, and I don't have to buy an S&D. because this is good enough for what we want to do with it. And actually, it might turn out to be good enough for even if we did want to do shit with it. You know what I mean? Like it could end up on a truck gun.
Yeah.
It's like, $1,000. That means I could probably find one for $850, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the $1,000 is not maybe not the MSRP, but I was like, it wasn't $1,700 or $2,000 or $2,500. It was a third, less than a third of what a Schmidt and Bender 1-8 runs.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, actually, I just looked it up. A Tango 6 1-6. Is that what you were talking?
Yeah, they're calling it a 1-6. I don't know what reticle.
Yeah. Well, they're using from SIG's website, the MSRP is $1,679.99, which means you can probably get it for about $1,200-1,300.
I could have sworn I saw them for about $1,000.
Probably. I mean,
because I typed in Tango 6 for sale, and I saw them about $1,000.
Yeah, that doesn't shock me at all, because MSRP is always, no one pays MSRP.
Well, MSRP is so they have a published price, so their dealers can come in under it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
I mean,
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean, look.
Well, let me jump onto the SIG thing here, because I'm going to get this is going to be the SIG day for sure. So SIG wins the SDMR Optics contract. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, obviously, I guess I'm being a bit of a mall ninja. It makes you want to take a look at their red dots. SIG won the 320 contract, or the MH, whatever they call that gun. Whatever the new service pistol contract. You know what? Good for them. Mm-hmm. And I saw this, and I forgot to tell you, but everyone knows who Jerry Michulik is, right? The guy that he can run a revolver like a machine gun.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a daughter named Lena, and guess what? The apple don't fall far from the tree.
Yeah.
And that girl can shoot too. And here's the thing: she's not one of these gun bunnies that were shooting on the Glock shooting team. She shoots for SIG on the SIG shooting team, and apparently she's cleaning up. And she's probably going to be a force to be reckoned with. And so SIG is like, think about this, dude. SIG is making gains on their shooting team. SIG is making gains in the optics game. SIG is making gains in the military service weapons game.
Yeah.
And L&O Holdings in Europe is like, holy shit.
Yeah, well, it's a moneymaker.
It's their big money maker.
Yep.
So, just interesting. Hey, we got to address a very sensitive social issue subject here.
Okay.
And I'm kind of I'm a cross between being disappointed and offended.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how to do it, because like they say you should never meet your heroes. And, I don't like it when one of my childhood heroes gets defamed.
Yeah.
Apparently Billy D. Williams is now gay. Now, most people don't know who the fuck that is.
No, actually, everyone knows who it is.
I guarantee you 20-year-old guys don't know who Billy D. Williams is.
I guarantee you 20-year-old guys do, because every 20-year-old guy is a Star Wars fan. Guarantee it.
Lando Calrissian, Mr. Cool in Space, is now a, quote, pansexual. And it's like...
See, this is a classic example of Disney fucking up a franchise. Because Disney has to make him a pansexual, so all these fucking moronic millennials can go, oh, this is awesome. Let me have a Starbucks coffee and, I don't know, suck a unicorn dick. I don't know. Fucking, I hate Disney.
I mean, well, you know what? I hate to make this argument, but it's becoming so obviously apparent to me. I think looking back that they're going to actually coin this what I'm about to say, and not that I'm making this up myself. This is a known thing. But seeing this Lando Calrissian pansexual move, along with the Boy Scouts is now the BSA Scouts, and some of this other crap they're doing, dude, I hate to say it, there truly is a war on boys.
Yeah.
I mean, this is getting a little nuts.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, can't just a dude be a fucking dude? Can't a guy just be cool and just be a guy?
Let me tell you my take.
I mean, the definition of being a man now means you fucking cry all the time. I mean, it's like, what the fuck?
I guess. My whole take on the Boy Scouts, I hate it. I think it's bullshit. Okay.
I despise it.
Let me back up. If the Boy Scouts of America organization would have got together with the Girl Scouts and said, you know what, we're going to push forward. We're going to disband the Girl Scouts. We're going to disband the Boy Scouts, and we're just going to call it Scouts USA. We're going to combine the two, and it's going to be just a big joint effort. I can get behind that. I'm not opposed to that. But the fact that...
You know what? There are people that would complain about the lack of tradition there, but I know the logic you're using. I can't disagree with it.
But instead, it's the Girl Scouts are going to be the Girl Scouts. The Boy Scouts are now Scouts USA, and it's co-ed. And you still got the Brownies and the Cub Scouts. You probably won't have the Cub Scouts because they're probably going to co-ed that too. I mean, the fact that they kept the female organizations... the whole thing's just, it's moronic. I don't know what the hell they're thinking. But if they would have just said, we're just going to conjoin everything, and it's going to be Scouts USA, it's going to be one blanket organization, and blah, 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 I'd be like, okay, that's cool.
I just hate this fucking argument that everybody now has to apologize for being a male.
Oh, you got to apologize. And it's
like,
you got to apologize for being male. You got to.
No, but now this whole idea now. Well, hold on. This whole idea now that this idea of toxic masculinity that they're teaching these kids. It's like, look, I'm not actually worried that this is going to succeed and they're going to change the world. I truly believe. See, the world will get a say on this because at the end of the day, the world needs men. And, that's not to say the world doesn't need women. The world needs women too. But, hard times make hard men. And, and I'm convinced that they're going to look back on this. I don't know when it's going to happen. It's going to be 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, or 100 years. They're going to look back on this and they are going to be fucking humiliated at how retarded all this shit has become. It's going to be all these people saying all this shit. It's, look, this is no different than goddamn George Wallace, wherever that fucking racist guy was, standing in front of the goddamn high school talking about, white shit and fucking, all this crap. And he was sure as shit of himself at the time because for whatever bullshit reason, but history, knocked his ass down.
Yeah.
Well, history's going to knock this shit down too.
Yeah, it will. I
mean, it's just crazy.
It is crazy, but eventually the crazy train will stop. And honestly, a lot of the crazy shit that was going on 2-3 years ago has kind of calmed down. And you can thank Donald Trump for that because now you have a president that doesn't cater to all these whiny little sissies.
We're both obviously not really in the dating scene. So, have you ever heard some of the statistics? Apparently a lot of these say a lot of these like 20 some year old, girls today, or maybe even 30, a lot of them are complaining. They're like, there's no good men out there because, especially as they get to be, say, let's say they get to the point that they're finished with their education or they're into their careers and they want to move to the next level, whatever that is. All the boys that they know are like fucking man-childs that ride skateboards and, do all this, these kids, I mean, you got kids 25 years old, can't change a fucking tire on a car.
Yeah, I know. Well,
I mean, I'm serious. It's like, there comes a point when, it doesn't matter like whether you're really old, really young, or really weak. If you're a man or a woman, sometimes it helps to have a fucking man around to help people. And these boys are not becoming men. And I think, they're in for a lot of they're in for a lot of shock and horror. This David Hogg kid down there in Florida with the whole gun thing. It's like, like all these people, they're how do I put this? Their level of social justice offendedness, outweighs their lack of their knowledge of subjects. And so when shit doesn't go their way, they just pout and scream because, well, they're offended. It means they have they have standing, because in this new world, if you lose, you get a trophy.
Yeah.
If you don't get your way, you become a special class that can be catered to, and it's just like this whole thing is just going to collapse.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we're going to have probably about a half a generation of these boys that they're going to hit 40, and I don't know if they're just going to be lost, or if they're going to be like this swing back and they're all going to I don't know, try to turn into, I mean, I don't know what the hell. I mean, I just, this is so artificially skewed. It's not going to last. And I'm just real curious to see how this is going to change.
Well, we'll find out. I mean, but yeah, it's sad. I mean, but let's go back to your example about the 25-year-old kid that can't change a car tire. Man, that's kind of sad and pathetic. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the lack of ability to self-rescue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or to handle, hard things.
Now, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't changed a car tire in 15 years. But you know what? I can afford AAA. I don't have to change a car tire. I pay people to do it for me.
How many car tires have you changed in your life?
When I was younger, probably 2 or 3 a month, because, I'd buy used slicks from the used car guy, because I didn't have any money back then. I couldn't afford new tires. But here's the other thing. If you can afford new tires and don't run them till they wear out, you generally don't have to change tires, because the only tires unless you run over an object and have a blowout, but the only people that have problems with tires are the people that just run them too far,
and people get, we had a staff member who was driving back from one city to another, ran over something. And, we had to change their tire. That was last week.
Yeah.
That was a $125,000 vehicle with nice fucking tires on it. Just shit happens. But my point is, like, when I was 20, like, if I saw a woman, I don't care who the fuck the woman was. They're on the side of the road and they're like trying to, like, it looks like they have a flat tire. I pull over. Boom. Now, the only thing a 25-year-old kid typically can do is like, well, I got a phone. Let me call somebody. Well, I hope somebody shows up, because if not, you're going to be in trouble. If they're busy, helping is not calling somebody.
Yeah.
And I just this whole thing, we're kind of going off on a tangent here. But this whole fucking, like, I have to admit, I've just really this Boy Scout thing, and now this Lando Calrissian thing, it's like, what the fuck is going on with this, like, fucking with the boys thing? I mean, look, I have no problem with fucking gay guys. I mean, I really don't have a problem with it. Like, just make a gay fucking character. That's fucking Star Wars. There's 800 characters in that show. They could make some badass super gay Jedi, like, to be, it's like,
How about this? This is a fantasy world based in another freaking universe. They don't have to adhere to our morals and standards. So why do you have to take we'll call him an iconic character, from the original movies, and change them? Just, like you said, just create another super gay character. I don't know. Maybe instead of a lightsaber, they fight with, lighted dildos or something. Who knows?
I'm going to even go, if we're going to go into this whole, like, protected class, special carve out, identity politics thing. Look, if I was, a black guy, and, if I grew up in a world that maybe, I had some things holding me back in society, one of the things I would have really enjoyed in Star Wars was super cool ass Lando Calrissian. Because I don't give a fuck who the fuck you are. Dude, you could be watching the fucking Star Wars in your goddamn white sheets and being like, well, I hate them black people, but that Lando's pretty cool fucking cat. It's just, it was such a, there were so few, like, unless you were going to watch, like, the black exploitation movies of the 70s, there were so few mainstream crossover cool guy black dudes, that crossed over into mainstream America. It's like, it's like, you can just tell, why the fuck did you guys have to do that to Lando Calrissian?
Yeah.
To get me to talk about Star Wars? I'm not going to watch Star Wars. I'm a grown ass man now.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't understand. What's the fucking payoff here? Speaking of which, you know what?
The first 3 Star Wars movies when they came out, Star Wars, Return of the Jedi.
Oh, we all did.
Or Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I was around back then. I saw them at the theater. Those are the only 3 Star Wars movies I've ever watched, because I honestly, grew up, and I just don't care. I thought the first 3 movies they came out with were awesome movies when they came out, but I was a kid.
Oh, yeah. When I was a kid, the only 2 things I cared about as a kid was Star Wars and dinosaurs. Like, when I was a kid, like, I guess Star Wars came out, I was what? Maybe Star Wars came out in 77, so I was like 6.
Yeah.
And to me, Star Wars, like, when I was a 6-year-old kid, dude, Star Wars was my whole life.
I was a bit older than that. But yeah, Star Wars was awesome. But, here's the older guys that are listening to this will understand what I'm saying. And this is what the younger kids that are into Star Wars don't understand.
When you say younger kids, do you mean children, or do you mean like 20-year-olds?
About 30 and under. Okay.
Okay.
Shouldn't call them younger kids because they're not. But let's just say the younger people. Because what they don't understand is in 1977, when Star Wars came out, you had nothing. It was huge. Because prior to that, sci-fi was the original Star Trek series from the 60s, or Flash Gordon with the little plastic spaceship with the sparkler in the end, on a string.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that people go, oh, 2001, A Space Odyssey, but that really wasn't,
When did that come out?
69. No, 71.
No.
Like 71.
Was it that early?
Yeah.
Because I remember like Close Encounters came out. Like Star Wars changed. Star Wars changed movies.
It did.
People don't realize Star Wars
fiction, you know, like all your sci-fi, your alien movies, your Predator movies, you know, all your current sci-fi iconic movies. None of those would have existed without Star Wars. Star Wars was a trendsetter. But back then, what people under 30 don't realize is there was no cable TV and there was only 3 freaking channels. You know, you only had 3 to 5 channels on the TV to pick from. And at midnight, all the TV went off the air, you know?
Well, I think Star Wars was probably, I mean, I don't, again, because I'm an adult. Like, it's like, you know, like I can't even imagine like being 30 years old and being like all about Star Wars. I'm like, oh, okay, there's another one out. Okay. You know what? When it comes on TV, maybe if I catch it, I'd like to watch it. I don't like to watch some big old lightsaber fighting or whatever. But, you know, it's like, I mean, it's fucking, I got a job. I got shit to do. But, you know, Star Wars was, as far as I could recall, the first time that a movie came out and people made big money. Like it was like one movie and it was like Apple. I mean, it was like,
yeah, it was
fucking like, it was unbelievable. This whole idea that you could make all this money in the 70s.
Well, and people were going to see this movie I mean, there were people that had seen the movie in the theater like 50, 60, 80, 100 times, and that's no joke.
Oh, yeah. That's no joke, because that's what people did, you know, like every weekend they'd go see a movie. So, you know, it was like, you know, hey, speaking of, did you hear about this because we're both not golfers. I know you used to golf like a long time ago. There's a story. I don't know how old this guy is. This guy's probably about 30. There's a PGA golfer named Lucas Glover, kind of like Danny Glover, but not black. Lucas Glover, and he's some kind of golfer, and you know, I guess he's good. I mean, I never heard of him, but whatever. Well, apparently his wife, named Krista, she was arrested the other night, maybe this weekend, for beating him up and beating up his mother. Now, check this out. Did you hear about this?
No, but when you say beating him up, did he allow her to hit on him, or is she like a badass and she just totally kicked his ass?
Well, you know what? In the world of fighting, you can lose mentally. So I don't know. I don't know the answer. She didn't seem like she's a big woman. She seems like a very petite, slender, blonde, stick figure, trophy wife looking kind of woman. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. Check this out. So every time he golfs badly,
yeah,
she goes crazy and calls him a loser and beats on him. And they finally got tired of it, and they had her arrested. Well, check this out. There's now photographs of him. This is all coming out. There's photographs of him on, you know, some golf course or at some tournament somewhere. And I guess he doesn't make a putt. And he's literally on his hands and knees with his face in the ground, like really upset. And now you look at this and you're like, it's because he knows when he goes home, he's going to get his ass kicked by his wife.
Wow.
It's wow. I mean, seriously. We've crossed over into, look, I understand the whole idea. I never hit a woman. I get all that. Okay. You want to cowboy up and, you know, whatever. You're the fucking guy that's going to let a woman beat on your mother? Fuck you.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, fuck you. What the fuck is wrong with these people?
Well,
this is crazy.
Beyond that. Okay, I get not hitting a woman. I don't.
I get it too, because I'd kill a woman if I hit a woman.
But on the other hand, how in the hell can you sit there and let a woman beat on you too? Now, I understand, okay, she gets mad, she hits on you and you just, okay, whatever, and you hold her back. And,
Yeah, maybe she gets drunk. I mean, look, everybody's life is different. I mean, dude, you and I have seen it all.
But if every time you have a bad day at work, you come home and she hits on you, at what point, and the answer to this is the second time, do you put a stop to it? As a man, you physically put a stop to it. Now, that doesn't mean you have to beat the crap out of her, but you can physically restrain her without hurting her.
You can be done with this. I mean, at some point, one of the keys I have a Marky rule here. One of the keys to happiness in life is the ability to say no. And a lot of people never learn that lesson because in today's society, with you want to attack males and you want to attack all this shit, if you say no to somebody, they're offended. And it's like, if you can't be like, you know what? No, I'm not judging you. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you how to live. But this doesn't work for me, and this is over for us. However you want to do that, be like, nah, I'm not working here. Nope, I'm not going to hang out with you. Nope, I'm not going to get involved in this. Nope, I'm not going to stay around these people. No. It's not a judgment. It's a, you know what? Okay, I saw this. We're going to have to go our separate ways. But like this whole thing, this shit gets so out of control now. It's like, I mean, this is crazy. This guy, I look at this picture of this guy. He's like on the ground. He's like, and I'm thinking, wow, dude. I mean, just his whole life is fucked up. What a disaster.
Yeah.
And it just, well, I guess on the other level, because you had mentioned this, and this I'm about to say is not politically correct at all, because, there's a story coming out of somewhere where some teacher was caught diddling little kids.
Yes.
Or she was having sex with her students.
Yes.
And she was gunned down in her driveway.
Yeah, I heard about it, but I didn't read on it. I don't know any details. And I thought that the article was saying it had nothing to do with her diddling her students or whatever. I think
maybe, and that very well could be true.
But the fact that she was actually pretty good looking.
I know, but like, I mean, what high school kid or what guy is going to look at a picture of her and be like, well, yeah, making a move on her's wrong. I mean, kid, if you give a kid a shot, he's going to take it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm not, but that's where the adults have to kind of be like, hey, you know what? I understand, but somebody has to be look, Daddy can still think she's hot as hell. And Daddy be like, yeah, I'd have porked her too, but now I'm still going to beat your ass because I'm your dad. And somebody has to be the goddamn adult around here. And, it's kind of interesting. This even ropes back into the whole thing. You're talking about the war on boys and toxic masculinity. Like, think about all these stories that are coming. Like, all these guys now are getting found out. They're all getting busted because they're doing all this crazy shit to all these women, like all these people and all these NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox. Fox has had a number of people run out because it's all coming out.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting where, we've kind of offloaded moral responsibility as a person to the HR department. So, for example, if I was the CEO of a company and, this kind of stuff is like, hey, look, people are going to date, they're going to have affairs, they're going to get divorced and marry each other or what, stuff happens. That's fine. That's called being an adult. But if I was the CEO of a company and this came to light that, we've had a problem, I would do something. I would immediately be sued, but I would have the moral high ground. I would bring all the men into a conference room. Like, okay, mandatory meeting. Every male that works that gets a paycheck from this company shows up at this meeting at 9 a.m. If you don't show up, you're terminated. It's a mandatory meeting. No doctor's excuse. If you got cancer, roll your ass in there with an IV drip, And I would have a major fucking talking to all these guys. And I'd even record it. And I would basically say, my house, my rules. We're all adults here. I'm not going to be unrealistic in this, it's saying that nothing's going to happen. But if you find a girl in this company and you think she's hot and you want to take a shot at maybe asking her out, ask her out. But if she says no, you better think about the consequences of being embarrassed, or everybody's going to know, or whatever the ramifications are going to be. So you better be really sure if you're going to make a move on a girl, what's the aftermath of that? Because if I find out that you're sexually harassing somebody or you're making people feel uncomfortable, all it's going to take is if a girl walks in my office and says, this is a problem, this guy's doing this, I will cut your fucking head off. I will literally walk into your office and punch your fucking lights out and throw you out of the building. Now, I will get sued, and even HR would say, well, you can't do that, you can't do this. No, because apparently, the argument would even be made, well, you're giving women all the power, because if some woman wants to take revenge on a guy, she could walk into your office, Marky, and she could make a complaint, and you would automatically take her side. Well, guess what, asshole? Apparently, we have to do it that way because you motherfuckers aren't responsible enough to do it, to have all the power yourself. So I have to be the goddamn dad of the family and run this fucking house and keep you motherfuckers in line. And see, again, everybody wants to offload individual personal responsibility to the HR department, or, everyone's, I guess we better, if your idea of changing a tire or your idea of having a problem at work is, we better call somebody. If your default is, oh man, we better call somebody, you're going to have major problems in life, because most problems, you need to take ownership of them individually and deal with them as you see fit, even if it just involves removing yourself from it.
Yeah.
And this culture of just like everything is everybody else's problem. We have to accommodate everybody and everything. It's crazy.
Well,
it's a pretty weird podcast for a couple of gun guys, but fuck it.
Well, but these are things that need to be said. And I mean, I know, we're kind of, gotten off the whole gun thing, but these are real life issues.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I have a pseudo gun thing to bring up, and because I'd never heard of this. It's a conspiracy theory, and I never heard of this before. But I thought it was pretty ingenious because I can't prove it wrong. And the truth is, are we all going to trust the government? Check this out. I had a guy email us a few weeks ago. And it was an email, so I saw it. It didn't come in on Facebook. And he wanted to know if I had taken steps to protect our electronic gun locks. And I'm like, what do you mean? Is there what do you mean? Is there a problem or a bug or a hardware failure? What it is he had a conspiracy theory, and I really couldn't debunk it. He said he does not ever get electronic locks for any of his guns. He said he had a gun safe. He doesn't get an electronic lock. If he has locks for lock boxes or whatever, all of his locks that involve firearms are always mechanical, because he's afraid that one day the government could send out a signal in an emergency and lock all these guns up. I had never heard that before.
I remember when he was talking about that.
Oh, did he talk about it on the Facebook page?
Briefly, yeah.
Okay. I saw it in email. Dude, with Hurricane Crossfire and all the NSA stuff and all this other shit that everybody's lying about. Look, do I think this is real? No. But how do I convince somebody that's watching the news that this can't happen? I can't win that argument. I can't.
Okay, here's my thing. Your gun safe that has an electronic combination on it, in order for the government to send a signal, it has to have some kind of a receiver or Bluetooth capability, and most of them just don't.
Prove it. A small antenna that, you could use anything as an antenna. If you just touch. If it touches another piece of, you could use the safe itself as the antenna if it's metal. A low frequency, maybe you have to be within like a mile of the safe. The deeper you go down this rabbit hole, the worse the argument gets. And it's like, oh, shit. Dude, look, this is straight up true. The Department of Defense has told everybody to stop using DJI drones, which is the largest drone company in the world, which happens to be based in China. They make the best civilian drones because straight up the DOD is afraid that, number one, that the Chinese government can use GPS and data collection and have it harvest through servers, all kinds of data, maybe, voice, audio, GPS, anything they could possibly hoover into it. And then the second thing they're afraid of is in like a 0-day type of attack, all of a sudden, right as, the president's Air Force One is racing down the runway in Andrews to get up in the air because there's been a missile launch, 1,000 DJI drones start flying at the engines and take that plane down. That's a real scenario that the DOD is concerned about. And, guys like this, it's like, I can't fucking, I don't know. I guess I can say I hope it's just not true.
Yeah.
It just never had occurred to me.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Am I going to go out and convert everything over to non-electronic keypads and worry about this? No, I'm not. I don't care, because the truth is, it's a freaking gun safe. If the government locks me out, I've got a Sawzall in the garage. I'll cut the top off of it like a tuna can and pull my guns out.
I know. It just was.
I'm not worried about it, but whatever. If someone wants to do it, okay, cool.
I guess if I was going to try to dissuade somebody from the argument, if you look at it from a practical application point of view, consider this. The world is so connected now, and everybody is so in touch that, if, let's say, I don't know, 500, dude, let's say, I don't know, 100 or 500 gun safes all of a sudden in this country just stopped working all at the same time, it would not take too long for that rumor to slosh around across the internet and the world to the point that everybody would start proactively taking steps to avoid those. You know what I mean? It's like you would have. It's kind of like the idea of a missile launch. The government would have to, or if a nefarious actor would have to lock safes and then almost immediately take other steps, that it would be obvious, like all of a sudden all the gun safes are locked and the internet's down. You know what I mean? Like, there's just no way that, from an application standpoint on the battlefield, that this information works in your favor, because the element of surprise is lost very quickly. So, while it's a neat theory, it's not, it's like, like all of a sudden they have to lock all the safes and maybe they could secure maybe 15% of the guns in a town, and then like an airborne unit would have to drop into the town like 5 minutes later to hopefully maybe get some kind of advantage from that. You know what I mean? Like it's just, but this guy hit me with this, and it's just interesting where, I don't sit around thinking about crazy shit that people can do like that. Like, I don't inherently mistrust the government, the U.S. government. Maybe I should, but I just was like, it literally blew my hair back. I was like, whoa, I never thought of that. I was surprised I had never thought of it.
Yeah.
So apparently, have you ever heard that before?
No, I haven't.
So I'm sure we'll get a bunch of, it'll be like the juggalos coming in and hitting us with stuff now. We get these groups that key in on a word, and then they start surrounding us like sharks for a while. So I'm sure all the I don't know, Zog people, Zionist occupational government people will key in on this conversation, and we'll have 3 months of like Illuminati traffic now because of this conversation.
Yeah, let me backtrack a little to the war on men or war on boys or whatever you were talking
about. The war on masculinity is what it really is.
Here's a quote from Senator Kristen Gillibrand.
Gillibrand from New York. I know who she is.
If it wasn't Lehman Brothers, but Lehman Sisters, we might not have had a financial collapse.
What a fucking crazy bitch.
Yes.
Holy fuck. Holy fuck.
Yep.
For real? So really, though?
More women on Wall
Street. That woman thinks she's going to run for president.
Yeah. More women on Wall Street could have averted the 2008 financial collapse. New York Democratic Senator. What do you expect?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Uh-huh. Yeah. There you get. There it is. Dude, I'll tell you a little bit about Kristen Gillibrand. So who she is she kind of inherited Hillary Clinton's seat when Hillary became sextate. And she had run like in upstate New York. She's a Democrat. And she had run in upstate New York as being pro-gun. And that's how she got a lot of upstate New York votes. And then when something changed, she completely reversed her position on the Second Amendment and firearms. And, she actually got like I think she had an A or a B rating from the NRA until she totally, that's another liar telling people shit to get elected. And that's what I think of Kristen Gillibrand. And she literally thinks she's one of the people who has a good chance of running for the nomination in 2020 on the Democratic side. Because she'll try to run as a moderate because Elizabeth Warren is a straight up communist.
Yeah.
So Kristen Gillibrand, Warren. So Lehman, if it had been Lehman Sisters,
we would have not had the financial collapse.
Well, see, you know what? Just to be a dick, I'd be like, well, if it had been Lehman Sisters, it would have been a sandwich making company.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, look, and I don't believe that. I don't believe that, but just to piss her off, I will say it.
Yeah.
Because, it's just like, wow, what a crazy, this is nuts, dude. Just crazy. We've been going for a while now, and I don't really have any more. I mean, like, I don't know, like, I guess apparently now MS-13 and Hamas are people too. So, but, whatever. It's, yeah. So I wasn't going to go into that too much. So, and John, John McCain's still dying.
Whatever. Don't give two shits about John McCain. That fucking rhino. Never mind. I'll just let that go.
I know. Yeah, I tell you what. I'm convinced. I don't know if I said this on the last podcast. I'm convinced if John McCain dies if he dies relatively soon, that they're going to hang that steel dossier around his neck, and I think he's scared shitless of it because they can make him the guy to kind of because he was involved in bringing it into the U.S. I mean, supposedly it had come in another way, But what they're going to do is they're looking for a lightning rod to push a lot of this guilt on. And if he's not around to defend himself, it would be very convenient.
Yeah,
that he could get hung. And nobody's talking about it, but everybody in DC knows this. Everybody knows that's one of his big concerns, that this is going to get hung around his neck. And he hates fucking Donald Trump.
Oh yeah.
And so that's so when all this blows up, he actually played a big part. He has a documented part in the dossier. So, he could go down as one of the his name is Mud kind of people, at the very least.
Oh yeah.
And he knows it, and he's not going to be around because again, it's convenient. If he's dead, everyone would just shit on him and be like, blame it all on him.
It's an easy scapegoat, because he's not around. No one's going to fight it too hard. But he's looking at it like, oh, well, my legacy sucks.
Well, think about this. John McCain is a war hero.
Yeah, whatever.
No. Hold on. Think about this. John McCain is a war hero. Look, legit. Let's be real. He's a war hero. He went through some crazy fucking... Do you ever see John McCain from a certain angle, dude? He has a dent in the side of his head that's ferocious.
Yeah, and look, here's the thing.
But hold on.
Hold
on. Let me actually give you the punchline. John McCain is a war hero, but if this doesn't get managed appropriately, history could write him off as a traitor. If this whole thing that happened with Trump takes a turn towards the attempted coup argument, John McCain becomes Dr. Mudd in this.
Yeah, and
at best,
he spent time down there in the Keys.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but okay.
Dr. Mudd was the guy who tended to John Wilkes Booth's broken leg, and he spent time in prison, down in that prison at the end of the Keys off of Florida.
Oh, I mean, I know who he is. I didn't know that's where he went to prison. They didn't hang him?
No, he spent time. He was down in they didn't hang him because all he did was treated the assassin's wounds. So they sent him to prison.
Okay. Dr. Mudd. Your name is Mudd. And you know what? If John McCain's afraid, your name is John McCain.
Yeah. Well.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Okay, this wraps up episode 96 of the John 1911 podcast. If you like this kind of content, you want to see some references to the things we talked about, go to our website, john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. We'll have some pictures and screen grabs of these topics in the comments section of this blog. And everyone, we thank you for your time. And remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.
See you later.